We continue with reaction. The Congress of South African Trade Unions, or Cosatu, concluded its three-day Central Executive Committee meeting yesterday. And of course, the cabinet appointments and the ANC's performance at the polls were some of the matters on the agenda. So the trade union was at that time waiting for President Cyril Ramaphosa to consult with its leaders of the composition, of the new cabinet. But that was done. It's now been announced. And with us in studio, Zingiswa Losi, who is Cosatu's president, is here with us to talk about some of those consultation process and their reaction to the announcement of cabinet. Good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, Leanne, for having us.
I want to talk behind the scenes because none of us are really aware of what happens. You know, you have so many meetings, so many closed-door sessions, so many sessions that we are completely unaware of. It's one of those things where we, the public, are honestly in the dark until that announcement is made. But you're a part of it. How was the process this time?
The process was the first of its kind, we must say, and we really appreciate that. We have always been saying that as an alliance, we expect to be consulted, we agree to be consulted, but the consultation will always be that Cosatu will go there in the SACP and just, you know, rubber stamp the decisions that have been taken. And this time around, it was what consultation is about. We had to sit down, really look at what are the proposals. They were indeed proposals. And we have managed even there to say we are not happy here.
Wow.
And we think this one should move elsewhere. And that was allowed. And that's why it was called a locked down, where we were able to sit down, just us looking at it, and we must say, and indeed, some of the changes, we had a direct influence on them as an alliance as a whole.
And that's what people were saying. This was unprecedented because in previous years, you heard about appointments, particularly in the years of former President Jacob Zuma, when he announced them. Yes. You had absolutely no idea there was even going to be a reshuffle or a new appointment. Is that really the case?
It has been the case. We would be convened on the eve of the announcement, just before those that will be appointed will be called in. So it was a matter of letting you know. It's like a courtesy that would have been done in the previous years. This time around, completely different, where we really sat there and indeed said, we are not happy here, and for these reasons, and we think this one should not even be in cabinet. This one should be able to be moved because of competency and all of the issues. And it was such a consultative a meeting that really, for this time, took into consideration the views of the alliance partners.
When did the consultation processes start?
We started about a week or 2 weeks, dealing firstly with the reconfiguration of the state in relation to the departments. So then yesterday we were then dealing with the conclusion of the reconfiguration of the departments, whether indeed we are all aligned with them, and then we dealt with the ministers, the cabinet and the deputy ministers.
So even last night, when you saw a delay, because we were all waiting for 8 came and went, and then it carried on, was there still talk at that time as to the choice of ministers, the reconfiguration? Was that still happening while we were waiting to hear that announcement?
No, we met at around 12 o'clock, and we ended probably at around 3, and then after 3, then those would start calling for those that have been appointed to come in. The lockdown was such that it can only be the president that makes that announcement, and we saw journalists were saying any scoop, so it was a lockdown for everyone, for us as an alliance partners, but also for those that have been called in, not for them to even call their families and with an excitement and let everyone know until the president has spoken with everyone and gone to make the announcement of his cabinet.
Well, it's great to get a background information into all of this because I don't think people are too aware of this. But now I want to get a little bit serious because as much as you have given the consultation process of a big double thumbs up, some have given it a big double thumbs down. Reason being is that the president needs to be more firm on his decisions and perhaps not so easily swayed by too many consultative processes. We need him to take leadership and say, this is how it's going to be, and that's it, end of story. What is your response to that?
Well, that you would hear from people raising it in relation to the alliance. But when the markets and the investors are influencing the president, people don't say it. They always warn the president that if you don't listen to the investors, then you are going to have the rent tumbling, we are going to have this. Be aware of those that are going to rate us, the rating agencies. So who is supposed to influence the president? Look, we are the voters. We go out, we campaign, we vote for the ANC. We know whom the kind of a government that we would want to see. And when the president does that, and we know and we respect the fact that after the consultation, the decision ultimately rests with him. And no one is going to say to the president, but we really insist on this one. We can say, without even mentioning that, there are the wins that we have made, but there are also the ones that we couldn't. There are those where the president said, but here I'm firm, and we allow that process because it's his cabinet. So the ultimate end rests with him. But it can't be that South Africans, when the consultation takes place and there's an influence within, we are told that we are hamstringing the president, but when the rating agencies and the investors are doing the same, then everyone must be in compliance, because if we don't do, and we don't do as those that are outside South Africa are telling us, then we have a problem. Yeah. So we really believe that this alliance cannot be weighed when Cosatu is taking a strike, and then we are told that you are a weak alliance, you are just a voting kettle for the ANC. And when the ANC is doing what an alliance is supposed to do, and then we are told that you are meddling with the powers of the president.
I understand your point of view, and it's always one of those difficult tussles between business and labor, because that's just the way it works. However, the reality on the situation is that the voter, the ANC voter, the South African voter, doesn't have a job, that the international investors are pulling out, that our debt to GDP ratio is over 50% right now, and we had business predicting it's going to be over 60% coming up. This right now, as you see South Africa and the economy and how we're performing, surely is not what you want to see. You need to see things change.
Of course, that is why we said now we are from Tumamina to Khawuleza. People now must start rolling their sleeves and start working. The directive is out there. The resolutions that are coming from Nazareth are very clear. The policies of the ANC are very clear. We don't need to create more, we just need to implement. But also importantly, Leanne, is that we have always said that we need to create an investor-friendly conditions in this country. Others have come in, they've said we're going to invest, they have been given tax breaks. They continued to retrench workers. We need to create employment so that when people are working, the economy is going to grow. There is this narrative that you must first grow the economy and then you shall create employment. We think that time is gone, because when who is going to grow the economy? How is the economy going to grow in its own? Just because people are going to come in and make investment, say, we promise you that we're going to invest a billion rand in South Africa, and then the economy is going to grow. We need, as much as because the environment has been made to be conducive here. There are no, the issues that investors are making, or business, that you have such strong trade unions, and therefore it enables us to really fire workers. It cannot be that as a result of that, because you have strong unions and therefore you are unable to really create employment. This economy, for it to grow, you need people that will be working in order for them to be able to have the buying power to buy the very same products that this business is making, so that the economy can grow. Sometimes we have this narrative that grow the economy, then you will be able to create employment. Create employment such that those that are working will be able to also conceive the products that they are consuming and be able to grow the economy. Okay. So it's going to take all of us in this country.
It certainly is, and that is a discussion that we can have for a very long time. But I want to talk a little bit about the ministers and the appointments. And I mean, when you look at this list, you can see that there are a lot of unionists that are in here that have been included. In the beginning of our interview, you said the unions were very specific on who they wanted where and how they wanted them there, and some of the ministries that have come together and apart. Let's talk to some of them. Abraham Patel, Minister of Trade and Industry and Economic Development. This must be one you're very happy about. As well as Dumont Lamini, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. Were these two where you had your fingers in the pie?
We were happy with the trade unions finding expression there without really pointing directly and saying we want Ibrahim Patel here. But of course, we were all saying Ibrahim Patel, even though he did not make it to the list, we have always said that he needs to come back to the cabinet. We're happy that former President Dumont Lamini is there. Slovo Majola is also there as the deputy minister. And indeed, we are saying now differently, as it would be that at times you would find former trade unionists sitting there as backbenchers in the portfolios, but making quite a huge impact in the portfolio committees. Now that they have brought into cabinet, we're very happy, and we're saying to them, we're here to work with you, but we're here to work with every minister. What is important is for all of us to do what we're expected to do.
Finally, I have to talk to you about Thulas Nxesi, because this is now a department that is directly related to the unions. The Minister of Employment and of Labour. Of course, he's a union man as well. Many have mixed feelings about Thulas Nxesi, but I want to get obviously, this is something that you, again, must be very happy about.
We are indeed. We are. We think that it's going to take that particular individual placed in that department to appreciate the responsibility that is given to him or her. Thulas himself. We're going to have fights indeed, but what is important is to ensure that employment is created in this country. We shall work together with him, with business, with government. We have to make sure that there's compliance in terms of what we have won as workers in this country. The national minimum wage, we need inspectors. We need him to work with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that we get more inspectors so that what we have achieved does not get eroded because people are refusing to implement the labor laws of this country.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you very much for coming in and chatting to us this morning. Cosatu President Zingiswa Losi sharing some of her views on the cabinet appointments that were made yesterday, and of course that consultative process that they've given the double thumbs up to. Let's take a break. News after this. Stay tuned.